Welcome back to ZNGP Today. Ducati General Manager Gigi Dall'Igna used his Balaton debrief to celebrate Marc Márquez's latest double and to underline the factory's confidence in its rider choices, while also stressing that work continues behind the scenes for Pecco Bagnaia. Dall'Igna hailed Márquez's run as vindication, welcomed Fermín Aldeguer's upside, and said Ducati has made targeted changes to try to restore Bagnaia's feeling with the GP25. Uccio Salucci, longtime ally of Valentino Rossi and boss at VR46, has added a stark, human red to Pecco Bagnaia's difficult 2025. After a poor weekend at Balaton, Q1 exit, no sprint points, 9th in the race, Salucci told TNT Sports that Bagnaia's telemetry looks different this year. He's braking less, riding differently and, crucially, losing confidence. The diagnosis is as much psychological as technical, and the prescription starts with enjoyment and refining the basics. Yamaha has accelerated its V4 program into the spotlight. The factory will run its long-teased M1 V4 prototype in a race for the first time at Misano, 12 to 14 September, via a wildcard entry for test rider Augusto Fernandez. The move signals Yamaha's commitment to the new architecture and ramps up pressure to prove the V4 is worthy of replacing the current inline 4 in 2026. Pecco Bagnaia left Balaton Park oddly buoyant for a rider who finished 9th. It wasn't the result that cheered him but the feeling. After radical, centimeter-level changes to his GP25, the Italian finally felt in tune with his Ducati again, able to push, make mistakes and still know the bike was reacting the way he wanted. That restored connection, he says, is the real victory. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Dall'Igna was unequivocal. Márquez's 7th consecutive double is an important number, and proof that signing him was the right call. The Italian pointed to the results and consistency as concrete returns on Ducati's investment. He said he's happy in that. 7 doubles are definitely important numbers, adding that the decision to bring Márquez into the factory was vindicated by the weekend's results. When a factory boss frames a marquee signing in terms of scoreboard validation, it signals both commercial and sporting satisfaction and reassurance to stakeholders. Dall'Igna noted the possibility that Márquez could wrap up the championship at Misano, a venue with emotional resonance for Ducati fans. He welcomed the prospect of a home circuit coronation for supporters. A title-deciding weekend at a marquee European circuit would be both a sporting milestone and a PR dream for the factory. On Bagnaia, Dall'Igna struck a cautious, constructive tone. He praised the signs from Sunday, the setup changes that appeared to restore some confidence, but acknowledged the work isn't finished. The emphasis is on giving Pecco tangible technical answers. That's the familiar factory playbook: quiet, technical iteration now. Public optimism backed by the caveat that more testing and data are needed. Dall'Igna praised Fermín Aldeguer's weekend and excused his crash as part of the rookie learning curve. He sees Aldeguer as having incredible potential and confirmed Ducati's eye on his long-term upside. Publicly endorsing a young rider like Aldeguer signals Ducati's dual-track strategy: extract maximum from established stars while nurturing future contenders. Dall'Igna suggested Balaton Park's tight chicanes might need tweaks for 2026 to improve safety and overtaking. Practical feedback from a factory that races on many circuits. The comment reflects the sport's ongoing balancing act between safety and spectacle. When team principals advocate circuit adjustments, it often speeds a venue's evolution, especially when multiple factories raise the same concern. The message was twofold: celebrate the present, Márquez's run and the team's depth, while continuing urgent, discreet work to return Bagnaia to form. Dall'Igna's comments framed Ducati as both triumphant and methodical, enjoying results but mindful of the unfinished business. That dual posture reassures supporters and keeps internal pressure on engineers. Harvest the momentum, but don't relax until every rider's performance is maximized. Gigi Dall'Igna's Balaton readout was upbeat but pragmatic. Signing Márquez looks increasingly right. Aldeguer is a bright spot, and Bagnaia's recovery is a frontline technical priority. Ducati is celebrating clear success while publicly committing to the targeted fixes needed to get all its stars back where they belong, at the front. Salucci says the numbers reveal what the eye already suspected. Bagnaia isn't braking as he should and his riding style has shifted. That change, he suggested, correlates with the drop in motivation and trust in the bike. Sometimes I check the data. He doesn't brake. He's not riding in the right way now. It's like he has lost a little bit the motivation, also the confidence with the bike. When telemetry and body language line up, fixes must address both setup and mindset, otherwise lap time gains are fragile. Salucci's advice was plain: rediscover the rider you were. He encouraged Bagnaia to enjoy riding again and to rebuild the natural aggression and precision that made him a double world champion. Please Pecco, Forza, the first thing is to re-ride like Pecco Bagnaia, enjoy it a little bit. That's a classic sporting nudge. Technical fixes buy time, but regained joy often unlocks peak performance. Salucci offered context. Marc Márquez's relative ease on the GP25 might reflect his history with older, less front-end friendly Ducatis. Riders who switched from the GP24 to the GP25, like Bagnaia, may feel the bike's quirks more painfully, while Márquez's path from earlier machinery left him better prepared to extract the new package. He compared Bagnaia and Di Giannantonio's early GP25 struggles and noted Márquez's comfort coming from the 2023 bike. It's a plausible technical cultural read. Adapting riding style to a fundamentally different chassis is as much about experience as raw skill. Salucci refused to denigrate Bagnaia's ability. He's a two-time champion and a fantastic rider. Still, the combination of technical mismatch and fading confidence is dangerous. Public encouragement from a respected figure underlines the urgency of restoring both feeling and results. It's not good seeing Pecco like this. I don't like it. Outside voices can supply calm and perspective, but only visible on-track progress will quiet the narrative. Salucci's intervention frames Bagnaia's slump as a mixed technical-psychological problem. Telemetry shows altered inputs, and that coincides with an apparent drop in motivation. Ducati and Bagnaia now face a dual task: find concrete setup fixes and rebuild the rider's confidence so he can re-ride like Pecco Bagnaia. With championship maths and a dominant teammate amplifying pressure, the next few races will be as much about restoring belief as about trimming tents. Yamaha had been widely expected to debut a V4 later this season. Motegi was a common guess, but the factory confirmed Paolo Pavizio's earlier than expected plan for Misano. Augusto Fernandez, the official test rider, will take the green flag on the prototype, giving Yamaha its first real race assessment under competitive conditions. For Misano, we are targeting to see Augusto Fernandez racing for the very first time our new M1 prototype with a V4 engine. This is a concrete sign of our commitment to the future. Paolo Pavizio's statement. A wildcard run is the quickest way to expose a prototype to race stresses: tires, fuel load, race trim and traffic, and Misano's home crowd stage ensures intense scrutiny. Yamaha has developed the V4 as a potential replacement for the long-serving inline M1. The factory has been clear that the V4 will only supplant the inline machine if it proves demonstrably faster and reliable, a high bar given the complexity of developing a new engine architecture alongside a live championship campaign. Race mileage is the acid test for any prototype. If the Misano outing confirms gains in acceleration, drivability and tire life, Yamaha can accelerate homologation. If not, the inline M1 stays. Fernandez, Yamaha's designated test rider for the V4 program, will shoulder the initial race exposure. Wildcard roles are designed to give a development rider competitive feedback while minimizing disruption to the factory rider's title campaigns. Fernandez's run will generate race pace data and reveal how the new architecture handles in real race tire and fuel windows. The advantage of a test rider wildcard is twofold. It protects the championship riders from early glitches while still giving the prototype essential live validation. Fabio Quartararo is already slated to sample the V4 during the post-race test at Misano, the Monday session, confirming Yamaha's staged rollout plan. Prototype race exposure followed by factory rider evaluation. That sequence lets engineers digest wildcard race data before asking a leading rider to provide setup and handling input. Quartararo's feedback in the test will be pivotal. As Yamaha's factory lead, his comparative impressions between the inline M1 and the V4 will heavily influence any final adoption decision. Yamaha has been explicit. The V4 will replace the inline machine only if it proves fast enough. Misano offers a compressed but revealing window, one race weekend and one following test, to evaluate fundamental behaviors, rear traction, mid-corner stability, electronics integration and tire life under race stress. If the V4 shows clear advantages, the factory faces tricky logistics to scale the package for all riders. If the gains are marginal, Yamaha risks losing short-term competitiveness by diverting too many resources too soon. Yamaha's Misano gamble turns a development program into a public experiment, early, bold and high stakes. Augusto Fernandez's wildcard outing will give engineers race-grade data, and Quartararo's subsequent test will provide the factory rider's verdict. Success could reshape Yamaha's future direction. Failure would force the manufacturer to refine the V4 further or stick with the known quantity of the inline M1. Either way, Misano has suddenly become a pivotal weekend for Yamaha's next chapter in MotoGP. Bagnaia admitted the emotion that came after the race was less about points and more about reassurance. For the first time in a long run of difficult weekends, the Desmercedes stopped. Taking him for a ride. The steering, the balance, and the front end feel lined up enough for him to ride in his own style. I've never been happy with a 9th place finish in a race in my life, but today I am. That kind of psychological reset can be as valuable as any upgrade, especially when confidence has been the limiting factor. Bagnaia revealed the team made, global, modifications measured in centimeters, a wholesale rethink of setup rather than a minor tweak. Those changes affected steering geometry and the bike's balance enough that his fastest potential appeared at the end of the race. Small dimensional shifts in chassis or geometry can radically change how a bike loads the front, and for a rider lacking feel, that's everything. Bagnaia admitted to making a couple of errors late in the race, but framed them as signs of progress rather than regression. He was pushing because he felt able to, and his final laps hinted at a pace that could have been his best of the weekend. When mistakes come from attack rather than desperation, they're often the precursors to a genuine turnaround. Gigi Dall'Igna backed the assessment, confirming the team had implemented significant setup changes and that the priority now is to let Bagnaia rebuild confidence around that new baseline. The factory's message: feeling matters more than isolated lap times. The most important thing is his feeling. We made a pretty significant setup change. Gigi Dall'Igna. A principle publicly validating a setup direction buys patience, but it also raises expectations for measurable progress at the next rounds. Bagnaia sees Catalunya as an opportunity to confirm the gains. That circuit has historically suited him, and with the new setup, he's optimistic he can convert regained feel into a stronger result. The task now is consistency. Replicate the feeling across sessions and tracks. If the improvements stick, Barcelona could be where confidence turns into a points-paying run. Balaton didn't solve every problem for Pecco Bagnaia, but it may have solved the right one. The week closed with the rarest of things in modern racing: an experienced rider rediscovering his connection to the bike. Ducati's engineers now need to prove that the centimeter-level fixes are repeatable. If they are, Bagnaia's huge sigh of relief may be the first breath of a full comeback. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time. P.